If you hear errant noises, there's construction happening above us and next to us. What a joy. Should I bring the construction guys some carrot cake? Hello, boys. Hello, everybody. I'm Vaughn, coming to you live from the New York Times kitchen, and today is probably like the first really beautiful day of spring. So I was like, we should make some carrot cake. This is a recipe that was kind of born from a previous YouTube video you might have seen where I was trying to find out my perfect recipe for carrot cake. You can click on the link in the description below and find that recipe, but we didn't really go through the steps. So that's what we're gonna do today. I just bought this orange shirt. I look like a carrot. I put too much bronzer on. Let's go. I think the rum-soaked raisins were a suggestion in the notes of that recipe from the NYT Cooking community. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. This is something my mom would call a good church potluck carrot cake. It's simple in its presentation, but it's really gonna wow the girls, you know what I mean? Betty Sue is gonna be asking for that carrot cake recipe by the end of this, but she might be a little drunk. Spoiler alert. The first thing that you gotta do in a rum raisin carrot cake is make the rum raisins. If you have the foresight to do this a day ahead, 2 days ahead, the longer you do it, the plumper they will probably be. We're gonna tightly wrap it and leave it to sit overnight. If you are like me, and sometimes you don't plan ahead, pop this in the microwave and zap it for like a minute. And though it won't take the same effect as that slow osmosis that's happening overnight, it still will soak up a lot of that liquid. So we actually have a swap that our culinary producer Wiz made yesterday. These on the left would just draw a lot of moisture out of our cake, and we don't want that. These on the right are nicely plumped. They taste like rum, and they're ready to be added to the cake batter. Oh my God, I'm wasted. I'm gonna let those nuts hang out there for like 10 minutes. You usually can smell when they're done. I'm gonna show you how you can get a really lovely circle out of parchment that fits very, very well into your cake round. What you do is you fold the long way. What do they call that? The hot dog and not the hamburger? Or no? This is hamburger? Yeah. Okay, oh God. So basically you're taking the long end and you're folding that in half. And then you're taking the other hamburger, you're making a quadruple decker, and then fold it over almost like you're making a paper airplane. And then once more. And basically you want to have that go about to the center. And so now you know that this is where you're gonna cut. And when you open it up, did I do that wrong? Wait, how did I? Were there 2 sheets of parchment? I think I got caught up in the hot dog and hamburger of it all. So fold it lengthways, then fold it lengthways again. Go like this. So you put it to the center there. Let's try this again. Ooh, ah. And it fits perfectly into our cake round. God, that was Stressica Simpson. I'm going to just grease the bottom and sides of the pan, and you don't need to use a lot of this oil. And then you take your parchment, and that oil kind of gives it something to stick to. You don't run the risk of the parchment kind of peeking up and the cake batter actually going underneath the parchment, because that would also be kind of a nightmare to try to get up. So you can see that the nuts are nice and toasty. Perfectly toasted all the way through. So I'm just gonna set these aside while I get rocking on the rest of my cake batter. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my dry ingredients done. So with the mix-ins, it's obviously grated carrots. I hate this part. I hate grating things. I'm gonna swap in the rest. A little movie magic here. Oh God. Ooh. Oh my God, perfect. What's up, Doc? So much better to grate them yourself. And then I need just about a tablespoon of freshly grated ginger in there, which is a really nice complement to the ground ginger. Just gonna strain out a lot of that liquid. And any liquid that's left over is gonna flavor our frosting and our cake. So I'm gonna measure out about 3/4 cup and put it into the carrots. And then the rest I'm gonna use to sprinkle in between the cake layers. And then the last thing is just the pineapple and the nuts. The crushed pineapple and the grated ginger especially, you want that to be really evenly mixed throughout. And because the grated ginger is almost like a paste, that's gonna require you to do a little bit more stirring. So I think that oil-based cake stays moister at room temperature. If you think about butter, butter at room temperature is solid and oil is liquid. So ipso facto, just kind of like in my mind makes sense that an oil-based cake would probably be a little bit moister at room temperature. And that moisture works really well with obviously the crushed pineapple that's in there, which is also helping with that tenderness and the carrots themselves. So I'm gonna just start by whisking this. It'll look like gloopy globby sand. When you start adding the eggs, that's when everything really starts to homogenize. So you do wanna work one egg at a time, and you want to beat well after each addition. And you'll see how it changes in color. You could do this in the bowl of a stand mixer, but honestly, there's something just so like, I don't know, church potluck vibes about making this by hand. I hear Betty Sue makes all of her cakes by hand, so I had to do the same. The fat in the egg is emulsifying with the oil, and the white is helping give it a little bit of structure. And this is, you know, the building block of our cake. Now I'm going to add a tablespoon of this rum that we reserved. The rest of that's gonna go in my frosting or in my iced coffee. So now I'm gonna add my mix-ins. Just give this a nice thorough mixing, make sure everything is super well incorporated. Now we're ready to bake. Do you think that a scale is the best way to make sure that your cake layers are very even? Or if you could just do about 3 cups, I would say, per pan. Let's just see. All right, so those are gonna bake for 30 to 35 minutes. I'm gonna switch them halfway through. While those bake and cool, I'm gonna make the frosting. It's very smooth, very sweet at this point. And the cream cheese will give it a nice bit of tanginess. Before I get going with that, because I kind of want this to happen in one fluid motion, I'm gonna check on my cakes just to see where they're at. By George, I think they're ready. The cakes look really good. There is a little bit of doming here. I'm not super worried about that. It should settle mostly flat. The way that we're gonna frost this, since it's just a 2-layer cake, any doming won't really matter too much. They're gonna hang out in the pan for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna let this go on like a low, medium, low speed, and then I'm going to add probably like a tablespoon or 2 of cream cheese at a time from these 2 blocks, which is 16 ounces. So this kind of like slow emulsification process is gonna help the cream cheese not get overwhelmed by the cornstarch and the powdered sugar. And that's kind of what causes a lot of cream cheese frostings to be really runny. Gorgina Major, oh yeah, that looks wonderful. And that's gonna spread really nicely. It's very smooth, very minimal lumpage. There's maybe a couple small ones in there, but I'm not worried about it. Again, we're going for church potluck vibes. So my cakes have been cooling for about 10 minutes. There are a couple ways you can do this. You can invert this, take a platter, anything that's bigger, and then just flip it upside down and then move it onto the wire rack. But these are such like hefty cake layers that I just do that, peel, and do that. It's about confidence. I'm gonna let these hang out uncovered at room temperature for probably at least 30 minutes, 45, just to make sure there's no like phantom heat trapped inside. Because this is an especially slick platter, I'm gonna just put a little dollop under there just to kind of secure her. And make sure she's pretty center. Now I did the more domed side down. That's because I personally prefer when the layers meet each other, they both kind of have that flushed, almost like you're making a big whoopie pie. It is going to be half the frosting in the middle, half the frosting on top, almost like a Victoria sponge kind of vibe. And I just really like that because it's so simple, you know? What is that song? Toes in the water, ass in the sand, not a worry in the world, a cold drink in my hand. That's this cake. Ooh, it's so fluffy. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure to start my way in the center with my little offset spatula. You could use the back of a spoon. And then work my way out to the edges. What I like to do, especially if I have a little offset, is I like to kind of go around and almost like I'm creating a little lip. This will be a lip that kind of holds in my rum-soaked raisins. This is still a good bit of them, so they really stud each slice of cake. Boozy stud. My nickname in college. Okay, Gorgina Major. And so I'm just going to slightly press these in. And I love the like raw edges peeking out. And then I'm just gonna go in with the rest of this frosting. I tend to kind of start with a mound of frosting in the center and then work my way outward. I just kind of find that like creates that wispy vibe that I'm looking for. I do like taking the back of a spoon and just kind of like creating like fun little wispies. I feel like it's so whimsical. It's like a confetti of candied ginger. Honestly, really anything more chopped nuts on top of here. If you wanted to add raisins, I think that crystallized pineapple would be really pretty on top of here. Oh my God. She's absolutely gorgeous. It looks so gorge. It looks very moist and dense but not stodgy. Those rum raisins really are like coming through. Oh wow. The rum raisins are truly such little like bursts of joy in the middle of there. Bursts of joy and booze. That freshly grated ginger just kind of like makes your taste buds dance a little bit. This cake is really fabulous. I hope that you all give it a try. Please click the free link below and go check out the recipe. And yeah, happy baking.